Hello, welcome again. This is We Talk Football. Today, I wanted to make a video about the game that we saw yesterday between Kaizer Chiefs and Mamelodi Sundowns. Very entertaining game, very good game, especially for neutrals, I guess. But as fans, especially of Kaizer Chiefs, for me personally, it was a little bit of a difficult game to take in because so many things happened. I saw good things, I saw not so great things, and obviously the controversy of the referees. Um, so that's what I want us to get into today. I'll look at some of the things that I felt like were good about the team, and I'm seeing some improvements as well. But yeah, always going to be a very difficult game against the defending champions. But yeah, let's get into it. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube at We Talk Football 24, and on Facebook as well at We Talk Football. So let's get into it.
I benefited and I have no shame. Some people have been getting all these benefits. I will get them. I want them for 5 games in a row. I've got no shame.
Game was a really nice matchup between Kaizer Chiefs and Mamelodi Sundowns. Very entertaining game. Of course, Mamelodi Sundowns winning 2-1 at FNB at the home of Kaizer Chiefs. But I think there were so many things to talk about from both teams. But let's start with the performances. I feel like Kaizer Chiefs, compared to previous years, played really well against Sundowns. We've seen quite a few times where Mamelodi Sundowns scoring and having their way around Kaizer Chiefs, just as recently as last season, near the end. Like that game where Sundowns won 5-1 against Kaizer Chiefs. It was so bad in many ways because, number one, Sundowns had already wrapped up the league, but they were able to play so well. They were able to swat Kaizer Chiefs aside and beat them 5-1. Even I won't say a demotivated Sundowns, but a Sundowns team that don't have much to play for. They played really well in that game and they beat Kaizer Chiefs 5-1. They didn't beat Kaizer Chiefs. They pounded us. They dog walked us. It was a lesson in football, and it was one of the most horrible games in the history of this big football club, Kaizer Chiefs. So, but I saw a lot of improvements from that game to today, or last night. The performance from Kaizer Chiefs was really good. Started off nicely with a goal within the 10 minutes, first 10 minutes. Chivaviro going through, being strong. That was a good goal because he had to make a run in behind, which he did quite a lot in this game. He ran in behind the Mamelodi Sundowns defense, but on that particular occasion, he had to run in behind, and he had to hold off his defender. And he had to find a way to finish past probably the best goalkeeper definitely the best goalkeeper in South Africa. But, of course, there's a lot of talk about him being the best goalkeeper in the rest of the continent in Africa. And he managed to do that really nicely. Went through on goal, was strong physically, and very nice and tidy finish. And I think from then on, you could see what Kaizer Chiefs were trying to do. They were trying to catch Mamelodi Sundowns on the counter. I mean, of course, it's hard also. It's very hard to kind of dominate the game against Mamelodi Sundowns because they carry a lot of the possession in games. They create a lot of chances. But the strategy, I think, was a good strategy from Nazarene Nabi, the new Kaizer Chiefs head coach, to absorb a bit of pressure and to hit Mamelodi Sundowns on the counter, which worked for the first goal. And it worked to create a lot of other chances as well. A lot of players played well. I think Vilagazi, they played well. Sereno. I think Gaston Sereno had a good game, but of course, a lot of the focus will be on him because he's. I don't know if he is the most creative player, but he's one of the most creative players for Kaizer Chiefs. You could say he is. Um, you could say he is the most creative player at Kaizer Chiefs. And so if you stop him, you stop creating chances for Kaizer Chiefs. But that didn't really stop the flow of the game for the Glamour Boys. Kaizer Chiefs found different ways to attack and to, create spaces and to create chances. They created a lot of chances. I think we should have buried a few of them. There were especially in the second half, there was a chance where I think it was Chivaviro who was through on goal, missed the chance, and it was a little bit of a scramble. At one point, the goal was gaping and open for someone to just slot it in. That wasn't a goal, and those are some of the chances that you look at and you feel like if some of those chances, some of those things that we saw had gone in, maybe Kaizer Chiefs would have had a really, really good chance to win the game. Of course, we'd never know, right? We can't go back in history. We never know. We could have scored and Sundowns could have came back and scored. They're a really good team, a dominant team. But I think we would have put ourselves in a really good position to win the game. So I think Kaizer Chiefs played really well, especially in the second half. I think in the first half, we sat back a little too much, and also we played quite a high line that I think Mamelodi Sundowns exploited and scored 2 goals from. The thing about playing a high line, and I saw this from both teams, Mamelodi Sundowns were also playing quite a high line, almost in the middle of the pitch, and that was mostly their starting position. The thing about a high line, if you want to play a high line as a team, you need to be able to press. You need to be able to press your position really, really well. You need to go up. Not only the defenders have to play high, but your offensive players, your strikers, your wingers, your midfield has to be really high to put pressure on the ball. Now, if you can't do that, then I think you can't play a high line, because if you play a high line, but your midfield is not that high, or your strikers, then it creates gaps. It creates gaps on the pitch where teams as good as Mamelodi Sundowns can go into those holes, fill those holes, find space to pick out passes to Ribeiro or to Reina, and they have very creative players like Temba Zwane. They have pacey players like Murena, and Ribeiro as well is quite a pacey player, skillful, and they ran in behind the Kaizer Chiefs defense, and they punished us. So I think that was one of the things that I felt like needed to change. Of course, it's only 3 games into the season, which could be a good thing. It gives you enough time to rectify those mistakes and change and fix those things. So I think that was good. It was a very good game, and I'm looking here some of the statistics. Mamelodi Sundowns were caught offside 7 times, so that tells me in the whole game, that tells me that Kaizer Chiefs were playing a high line, and it was inviting Sundowns to run in behind our defense and create chances. But I think overall the game played out all right. The first half wasn't that great, of course, but I think in the second half, the team came back and rallied, played well. They put a lot more pressure on Mamelodi Sundowns. They created a lot more chances and put Ronwin Williams under more pressure and created some chances for which I think he, as I said earlier, the best goalkeeper in South Africa, probably the best in Africa, proved why. He saved from a free kick, he saved from a one-on-one, and I think overall Kaizer Chiefs created enough chances to win the game, at least to draw the game, to walk away with a point. But to lose the game felt a little bit unfair, but that's football, and it's not It's not always fair, so that's why you always want to take your chances when you have them, especially against big teams like Mamelodi Sundowns, that won't be very forgiving. They will take their chances and they will punish you as the opposition team. Mamelodi Sundowns also played well. I think they dominated the game, especially in the first half. Especially after they conceded a goal, they came back and created lots of chances. But I did see a lot of flaws in their game. They weren't very much in control in midfield as they have used to do in the past. This game, it felt like it was a basketball game between two high level scoring teams, and one team played a high line, the other played a high line as well. There were spaces in midfield, but I think Kaizer Chiefs played well in midfield, considering that it's Mamelodi Sundowns playing against players like Themba Zwane, Umshishi. So I think Kaizer Chiefs played a good game, but Mamelodi Sundowns also showed their might. They flexed their powers, and I think if you base it on the first half, yeah, sure, they deserve to win. But overall, I don't think it was a true reflection. Like they won 2-1. But I think there were two very key points that will prove that it should have been at least a draw and not a loss for Kaizer Chiefs. But I have to say this. I was very confident that Mamelodi Sundowns would win the league, and I'm still confident that they will. I do have to say that they don't look as invincible as they did in the past. Certainly not as invincible as they looked last season. It looks like you can get at them, especially their defense. They play a high line, similar to what Chiefs are doing, playing a high line but no press. It's not going to work out, if you play, if you play a high line, you have to press. But if you play a low block, then your midfield and offensive players, your strikers and wingers, have to be close to you as well. So there shouldn't be a lot of distance between your team. But Mamelodi Sundowns did really nicely. Ribeiro looks like a great player. He's got skill, he's got pace, he's got an eye for a goal. And Reina has been scoring. He looks good as well. And so I think the Mamelodi Sundowns front line looks really good. But also they've been playing with recently a little bit of something a little different, because they are using the pace of Morena, their fullbacks, and they're really fast, going in behind, creating chances. And once they get there, they have the technical ability to create chances and problems for the opposition. Certainly yesterday against Kaizer Chiefs, they did that. Now, what I would like to see is, of course, I would like to see a downfall from some Mamelodi Sundowns, so that other teams can, or especially Kaizer Chiefs, can win the league. But also, I think it is, something to look at for the rest of the season. Will Mamelodi Sundowns be as dominant? Will they be as great as they have been in previous years? I picked them to win the league, but you can't say that they have been as excellent as they have been in previous years. And so I think that's something to look out for. Are they going to be that awesome juggernaut that we've seen? Are they going to be the Mamelodi Sundowns that won 7 league titles in a row? But I do have to say there were a few seasons where they won the league and looked a little shaky. Like the season when, I think it was in 2020, when Kaizer Chiefs lost the league by drawing, after they drew the last game against Baraka. That season they only accumulated 59 points. It could be one of those seasons, especially because of the transition. There's been a lot of change. Urulani Mkwena is not there anymore. Now it's Mangoba Mwaiti. So it's something to look out for at Sundowns. So, but ultimately they got to win. They go back home to Pretoria, to Tshwane. They go back to Tshwane and they've got themselves 3 points. They're still at top of the league, undefeated. 9 points out of 9, won all their games. And it's something great for them. Now, the 2 incidents that happened, the first one is clearly offside. 2 players were actually offside in that moment. I'm not sure, I think maybe the other one might have been Umukwena, but certainly the guy that created the chance to score the second goal for Mamelodi Sundowns, Ribeiro Costa, was absolutely offside. So I think that's a huge error from the referees, from the linesmen. They didn't see it, and it cost Kaizer Chiefs the game. It has to be taken a little more seriously, these big decisions. Now, in football, it seems like we talk so much more about the referees than we do about the actual game. The game was amazing. Both teams played well. But now the focus is going to shift towards the referees, especially in the end when Kaizer Chiefs will also disallowed a goal. Right? But going back to the offside, that changed the game. Of course, it was 1-1 at that point, and maybe both teams go into the break level at 1-1. That changes everything. The strategy is going into the break, into the half, because the goal came at the 37th minute, close to halftime. So it changes the whole tactics for Kaizer Chiefs, for Sundowns, and it gives them a lift. It gives Mamelodi Sundowns a lift because they've just scored a goal, which shouldn't have stood. And then in the end, the free kick. Now the goal that was disallowed, I don't think that was a foul. The thing is, football is a contact sport, right? And the inevitably there will be contact between players. Now, as the referee, you have to decipher what's worth a foul and what isn't. Of course, there are certain fouls that are undebatable, right? But that one is I think it was very harsh to give the foul in that moment. The defender, I'm not sure if it was Murena. Again, he didn't even jump. I don't think he tried to jump. I'm talking about the Mamelodi Sundowns defender. He didn't even try to jump and challenge for the ball. He was running back, felt a little contact from Castillo, and dropped to the floor. Of course he sold it. The referee bought it, and that's so discouraging because you want, and especially in a big, huge game like this, two of the biggest teams in South Africa, early on in the season, you want grade level refereeing, and I think that was absolutely poor, shocking. If you bring both those incidents, the offside and the disallowed goal, we could be talking about a Kaizer Chiefs win in a very long time against their bitter rivals, Mamelodi Sundowns. But because of the referee, I think the referees are, game in, game out. And I'm going to bring in the Premier League as well into this, because we see referees even in the Premier League in England, where they are the main focus more than the game, the actual game. And it's a little bit sad to see, because we want to just talk about the game, we want to talk about the players, and we don't really want to focus on, referees. But I think, so I was doing a little bit of research, and I found out that the first match that will have VAR in South Africa will be the MTN 8 final. I think that is awesome news. I think it's a little bit late. Many teams have had VAR for years now. I mean, many leagues, many countries have had VAR for years. We've seen it work in Europe, of course. We've seen it work in North America, in South America, in Asia. I've seen it work here as well. It works. So I think it's time to implement it. It's long overdue. I think it's what we need in South Africa, in South African football, to progress and move forward, to stop making, and the thing is, human error, it happens, but the thing is, we want to relegate that to the bottom of the pits. We want, at least, if we want to give the referees a better chance to make better decisions. And I feel like if it is certainly the offside goal, the second goal for Mamelodi Sundowns, that would have been disallowed if there was VAR. But those are my thoughts about the game. I was very also, just to close out, I'm encouraged about how Kaizer Chiefs played. Previously, we didn't look like we had any idea what we were doing. Defensively, in midfield, we had run over. Offensively, we were not threatening, especially in the game that I saw last season, where Sundowns scored 5 and we, put one punch in. Much different, very different from what we saw last season. It looks like these are completely different teams. Of course, there are lots of changes, but it's still essentially the same kind of team, right? But it was encouraging to see the chances we created, the way we played. I think we played with a little bit of a... Of course, Sundowns dominated the ball, but when we got the ball, we looked threatening. We played with some menace, some poison going forward. A lot of pace. I want to see more of that going forward. I'm encouraged. Let's see what the coach Nabi will have moving forward for the season. Hopefully it's going to be a better season than last. I'm not saying we're going to challenge for the league, but we definitely should be finishing high in the table. We should have a better season. We should give the Kaizer Chiefs should give the fans better weekends than they did last season. So that is that is my final observations, and I think it was a great game. But let's see how things work out moving forward. Anyway, thank you very much for coming again. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at We Talk Football 24, and also follow us on Instagram at We Talk Football 24 and on Facebook at We Talk Football. See you later. Have a nice weekend. Take care.